Morning.
Yeah, your video is working.
How's it going?
And it's it's horrible. It's horrible. I I woke up yesterday 4 a.m. I was in tears. We found the first dentist we could find that could get me in yesterday morning and went in, and it I was in and out, I was back home by 11 a.m., but uh the entire day yesterday I don't think I said anything until almost 9 p.m. It was Yeah, yeah, and to RJ's comment, I've been trampled by cows and hurt less. Yeah.
So I will save it accordingly. And I'll just call this Chapter 6 name length. And we really are also putting in this menu, so our name could include that too. All right, so we're going to just display a menu and offer the length of an input name. Now I could almost look at my hierarchy chart and kind of code some of my program. So let's think about that kind of as an outline. First of all, because Python is kind of unusual about the way it handles things, we know that our main is going to end up being at the bottom, right? That all of the other things have to be defined and declared first. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom of our hierarchy chart and work my way up. So I'll define the exit function. And Python gets very upset with us if we have a function that doesn't have any lines of code in it. So let's just go ahead and put a print statement here, say that we're in our exit function. We haven't been using our functions. We've just kind of been putting everything in our main. And our textbooks and a lot of the other books sort of do that because the idea is to introduce this modular approach at the beginning where we have functions and then kind of focus more on the actual logic where we're doing if statements and looping structures, and then to come back and expand more on this modular programming idea. So it does do a little bit of bouncing around, but I want you to be able to think about how your program is going to work either way. Now, when I look at that exit function, I think, that's going to do something interesting. I'm going to create a function that shows the length of the user's name. My print statement will just print out the name of that function, and then we can use that to debug our program as we're developing. Because we have the power, right? We can make our program, do whatever we want. Lastly, I'll declare my input user function. And look, I left that word function out of this print. Sometimes I'm creative, not consistent. I have to go back and be consistent. All right, last, our menu. I mean our main, sorry. Main, I'll print. We'll just leave that debugging code in there for right now. So in our main, according to our hierarchy chart, the first thing we're going to do is call our show length function. No, I'm sorry, I'm going sideways, aren't I? We're going to call our input user function. to update our username. So I'd like to go ahead and develop that. Let's develop that function first. Throughout this program, we're going to be using a username, and obviously we're going to prompt the user for that information, and then we're going to access that information throughout our script. So it would be good if we had a variable to hold that data. I want it to be a global variable, so I'm going to put it at the very top. Let's call that. Do you want it to be username? We'll just call it name so it's not so long. See if I can get those global things to work. It's been a little while since we've used them. And we all have to review sometimes. Okay, so for our input user, we want to set up our global variable name. We're going to be changing that. So if you remember, we have to make that statement to Python that we're updating that global. And we're going to set it equal to whatever name our user gives us. Please enter your name. Now we don't need to turn that into an integer or do anything with that data, right? Because the name is all we need to make sure that my global variable worked properly in our main. After the input user function, I'm going to print out something like debug username is. Now my debug code there is just going to be helpful to me as I'm running this program to make sure that I'm getting that variable updated. So I think we're ready to test that. And my consistent issue, forgetting to call the main, let's call it. Okay, so first of all, we start out in our main function. Our main function calls our input user function, and we say, please enter your name. And then back in my main, when I've returned, I get my output from my debug statement. Username is Renee. So our global variable is working. Is everybody okay? Is yours working?
And mine works.
Good. Oh, I see a check mark. I see some thumbs.
Mine worked after I typed name properly.
That's the key.
It didn't work, and I watched yours work, and I was like, what did I mess up? And then I looked up and saw that I had a typo.
Very good. Those typos will get you, huh? Okay, good.
Every time.
Good, everybody looks good. Okay, great. So we're just kind of, like I say, stretching your mind, making you return to thinking about this modular programming. And I want to do that because our Quest program is just too large to not split up into pieces. It's overwhelming if we don't split it up into pieces. So this way we can do that. Now I'm going to put a comment up here for our input user function. This function updates main variable with data entered by user. So that's our first function, and that should be pretty similar to what you would need. Now, as we go through and continue to develop our application, we might want to comment out or remove some of these print statements if they start getting annoying. And of course, we would want to remove them before we implemented this application. Okay, so the next thing then is we need to work on our menu. I can get rid of this print statement here. We know it's working. But if I comment it out, I can put it back in later if I want to. A lot of programmers like to leave debugging code like that in. Totally up to you. So the next thing we're going to do is call our menu function. We could run this now really if we wanted to and make sure that it called it and we saw our message menu function. But we can be pretty sure that's going to happen. So let's develop our menu. Well, our menu is going to be this thing that just keeps repeating, right? It's just going to display whatever option it is that the user has. So we're going to choose like option 1 is going to be display the length of your name, and the other option will be exit. So we're not going to have a lot of functionality here in our menu. So we are going to need a variable to capture the user's choice. And I'm going to start out with that being an empty string. And I could change my mind, but we'll see. Sometimes we decide to change things a little bit as we're developing. And then we're going to use a while loop. A for loop is really good if we know how many times we want to execute something, like 7 times. But a while loop kind of lends itself more to a state like this while the user has not chosen X. So let's say while choice equals, and then we'll put a not in front of it. So once they choose X, we're going to exit out of our menu. So let's print out our menu. Oops, I do need a closing parenthesis there. And I think I'll print something like maybe a blank line under that word menu, or else it won't look too good. Say 1 show name blank. And I could do some fancy formatting. Okay. I'll leave that for you. And then X for exit. And then we'll gather the user's choice. From an input statement. And let's say something like, please enter shall we test it and see if it looks okay? Let's try it. Quite a bit of code there with our while statement and everything. Make sure we don't have any syntax errors. Oops, speaking of. I put a colon there when I did that call to our menu, and we only want a colon when we're declaring the function. So that's what's causing that trouble. So I'll try it again. Okay, so here's our menu. And in our menu, we have these 2 options, show name length and exit. It looks kind of yucky. So I'm going to take out some of my spaces there. make it look a little better. But with our menu, we want it to kind of line up like this. You know, this is sort of a thing where we want it to be all properly aligned and everything. I could even put the user's name in here somehow if I wanted to, right? Because I have that information because I've gathered it already. So my menu function is developing nicely. Is everybody's work okay? Do we have any syntax errors we need to take care of? Got it, got it, got it. Looks good. Okay. So now in our menu function, we need to determine what their choice was. So we've got this right here. Please enter choice. If your choice is 1, now remember I didn't convert that choice to an integer or anything, and I don't want to because I asked for non-numeric input here if they want to exit. So if our choice is equal to 1, we will call our function show length. Now we can test that because of our debugging code. We should be able to tell if our show length function gets called properly. I'm going to type a 1, and we should see that our show length function got called and our menu displayed again. Now, what if we do an X? We didn't put in our exit function yet. We haven't called it, but I'll put in an X and our program exit. So that is somewhat working. Let's go ahead and put in a call to that so we can have a nice message telling them goodbye. If your choice is X, then we'll call our exit function. And let's do one more else. We'll just say, please enter choice again, because obviously they weren't reading and they didn't enter a proper choice. Now that's going to be the end of our menu function. I think we've got everything covered there. We're displaying the menu. We're making sure that they gave us a valid choice and we're performing the correct action when they do that. One thing that's bothering me is I think I need a blank line. And back in my menu. It's just looking a little crowded there at the bottom. Just me being a pain. Okay, so this is really the heart of our program, isn't it? Right here, when we began, all of the logic of our program was being controlled by our main. Now with this implementation, we see the logic, the main logic of our program being controlled in our menu function, which is fine. So let's put a comment. This function displays menu of choices. Choice will determine. So no matter what they choose, we'll do something. So now we're pretty well done here. We've got to put in code for these two functions. And the show length function is one that we can use a special keyword in Python for. Let me show you this. This is the presentation from our textbook that's available to you on Canvas. We did not look at, but it's out there for you. Most programming languages have a function that returns the length of something. So we might have, in this case, length of being passed a string value of hello, and that would return the value of 5, right? Because that's 5 characters long, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Goodbye, exclamation point, would be 9. What about harmony here? Is the space count? The space counts. It really does. Here's a space. It's the only thing in this string. This would still return a value of 1. So some sort of length function is usually available in any programming language. So now that we know that, how could we find the length function in Python? I don't have my book, so I'm just going to have to Google it. I'll search for it. I'll search length in Python. Oh, you know what, Sunny? I bet that exit is a keyword. I think I better change it. What do you think? That's why it's colored, because it's probably a Python keyword. So let's fix that. But as we look for our length, here we see it. It says it's len. So the len function is a built-in function in Python that returns the length of the string. So let's try that. No, I don't know why. Show length. Yeah, that's why, because exit is a keyword in Python. So let's change that. Let's call our function exit. How's that? RT exit. Now I did that because down here it was highlighting that function, and I could tell in purple that that was a Python function. And we don't really want to use any names in our code that are reserved words by Python like that. So we'll change the name of our function. And I just made it exit it. Isaiah, our exit is going to print a message out. So we want to add a little bit more, but I think that would be the standard behind the scenes function. Yeah, it worked. It worked fine. But we just don't like to override those because sometimes it can cause us trouble because the system can run our function instead of the system function. So we'll just change it. We want to stay away from those keywords. All right, so in our show length, we've seen that Python likes this len keyword. So I could just print it out, but it might be easier if I create a variable. Right equals len, our name variable. Now we can print that out. Your name is, now our name length is going to be numeric, so we need to convert it to a string. So your name, blah, 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 is blah. Now, quite a print statement there. So now we'll be printing out your name is this many characters long. So we're using our length function. That's a built-in function to find out that name length. Now for our exit, let's just print out a nice message. Thank you for using calculator. Good. Now, if we put some comments for Week10, this function prints the length of the and our exit it. We get our message out. Let's try it. Are you ready? Ready? Okay, so here's the name. Look at my name. Oh, that looks so much better with the space after the options too, doesn't it? So let's try our menu. We got our nice message that says we're in our menu function. Our menu displays. Please enter choice. I'll choose 1. Now, when I chose 1, it says, oh, I'm in the show length function. Your name, Renee, is 5 characters long. Now I can exit. And we should get our message. Thank you for using the name link calculator. Now, how's everybody doing? Are you working okay? Oh, Cortez is working.
I have myself an error here.
You what?
I have an error. Let me post it in chat.
Oh, okay. Here, let me stop sharing so you can share. Okay, go ahead.
Can we see your code?
So where's line 50? If you mouse over it, it'll show it to you down in the corner.
Looks like his errors start at line 16.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah. I was still at the top. Good job. Oh, it looks like it's show length, but someplace else it's shoe length.
Also in name length, 1 line down, the name length is possibly not being called correctly due to typo.
And then look at your menu. Oh, that looks good. Okay. Okay, so let's see. In your, where is line 16? Why does it not like that?
Line 33, 50, and
show length
52
is-
need to be looked at as well.
Yeah.
And in your show length, the name length is still misspelled.
Yeah, that doesn't matter as long as it's misspelled the same in both places.
Well, It wasn't, because down at the bottom he's got it spelled showed length, and then he had it switched around up there at the top.
Does he need to name a global variable within the loop?
No, because we're not updating it. So we only
Okay.
have to use that global keyword if we're going to update the value of the variable. So since we only do that in our input function, that should be the only place. But yeah, right there, that, try running again then after those changes and let's see. He's entering my name. It's in menu, he's in show length. Does someone see
Is he
it?
setting a variable print somewhere?
It's weird.
Vincent, can you copy and paste your code into the Discord channel?
We got, yeah, Jesus has an idea too that looks good.
Thank you very much. I'm going to copy it over into a new idle window on my computer and take a look at it. I've got different colors. The white background messes with my eyes.
It's you too bad, yes. Okay, so Jesus sees it, I think. What do you, in your,
I see the problem, I think.
you see it? You guys are seeing it. Name.
I think I saw it somewhere in the post. Yeah, at in the show length thing, it says print is equal to that.
Oh, there it is. Good
Which is
job.
exactly what it says. It says
That's
local
why
variable
it's
print
saying
referenced
it's not
before assignment, which means it's
variable.
trying to assign something to print.
Do you see it up there, Vincent, where your print statement is in that show length, the equal sign? That's what it is. Good job. That was sneaky.
Yeah, I updated that and it worked perfectly on his code.
Awesome, you guys. That one was hard to see. Good job. Good job. Okay, anybody else got any interesting trauma? It's not working.
I was just going to comment that I'm adding blank lines after each module where we're inputting data or we're getting additional prints because it's compressing so much that it's difficult to read because of the way it loops back to the menu.
It's super hard to read. And so one thing, whenever we're doing debugging statements like this, we do need to be aware that we're going to have to go back through and comment them out or delete them. So we'll do things like this print statements for development, but then I'm going to have to go back in and comment those out. Now I've seen some people put code in like this for debugging with if statements, you know, to even check to say, if we're debugging right now, print this out. If we're not, don't. And, you know, you'll see some really involved ways of handling debugging prints like this. But we can just go ahead and comment ours out because we have our development done. We know it's working.
We can't see your screen.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'm just commenting out those print statements so that I don't have all that extra. And I like the idea of expanding on them too. This program is for you. So I'm just showing you what would happen if we were going to, you know, promote it on into something that was used. You guys can make it into whatever you want. So you can make those print statements more involved or however you want to do it so that it helps you. We want to get our brains thinking more, segregating things out into their functions. And honestly, I think that for students like you guys that are so advanced already in your thinking and you're so logical of thinkers, this really is easier, like I said, than thinking about the whole problem all at once. Because if we take an individual function, you know, some of our functions like our menu function might be somewhat involved, But like our show length function, instead of this being a great big deal, now it's just, oh, how do we do this one thing? How do we accomplish this one task? So by separating out our different functions and making things more modular, we really do make it easier in the long run. Okay, is anybody else having issues with theirs or got any weird errors? It all looks good. Okay, so right now it's 8:43. Let's report back at, I think, 9:20 and see how everybody's doing in their groups and what kind of progress you guys are making. Now, I hope that you can get the quest fairly well most of the way done today. The one thing that could be difficult is the award where you're supposed to print the special characters around the name. But remember, you can use this length function to determine how many characters are going to be needed so that you can figure out how long their name is. So 9:20, does that sound good to everybody? Would you guys go off with your groups and then we'll meet back and see how everybody's doing? Any problems before we do that?
Nope.
All righty.
Nope.
I'm going to mute. I'll see you back at 9:20.
Our Discord call, at least per my group.
Okay,
We're listening to you.
great. So I'd never had that happen before where I could hear you guys while you're working, and I think it's probably the Zoom update that came out this morning. So we may have to go to those breakout rooms, even if we don't use them, just so you can talk privately amongst yourselves, because it was definitely behaving differently than it has before. So that's all right.
When you came back, and I don't know what happened, but when you came back, it said the host has unmuted everyone.
Just when I
And-
came back. Huh.
Yeah.
So it's like I muted all of you by muting mine.
Yeah, and then when you unmuted yourself, it unmuted us all at the same time, and that's where it all got messed up.
Right.
I think if we all just consciously mute ourselves, it wouldn't be an issue.
Well, no, because you're all showing as muted here on the Zoom participant screen, but yet I could hear you talking. So
Well, I was purposely unmuting myself to respond and say, "Hey, we can hear you," but
well, yeah. But I could hear you when you didn't think I could.
oh well, then I don't know.
So it's just a little whacked out. Well, we'll figure with the millions of people using Zoom, they'll probably have another fix tonight.
Let's hope.
I'll just keep installing them, but I'll interrupt next time and say, hey, I can hear you guys. Because it was like, I want you to have some private time.
The space bar down, and as long as you hold down space, you'll be unmuted.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's cool.
That's what I've been doing.
That's very cool, Vincent. I'll use that because sometimes my mouse isn't in the right place to unmute. So awesome. Well, how's everybody doing? I know we have some teams that are pretty well done and we have some that are not, that are struggling. So let's see what we can get here. I've got a list of our study groups and I'm looking at the new one. And what I'm going to do is just look at the order of the participants, and I'm going to ask for the same person in each group. So basically, I'm looking at I'm going to do person number 4. So it's kind of alphabetical. It's not super scientific. So for study group 2, that would be Mary. Mary, can you tell us a little bit about how your group has done? And I think you're the one that told us last time, so that's not fair that I'm picking on you. But I'm going to stop my share and let you take over however you like. Okay.
Okay, so for my group, we haven't really been working together much. Like we have the Discord open, so like if anyone has a question about it, we can write in and ask. But so far, I think we've all been doing fine, so we haven't really been communicating much.
Great. Do you have any code or anything that you can show us?
Yeah, so
We'll pick on you. Let's see how you're approaching this. I know some things will look real similar and some things will probably look way different.
okay, so here's my code. Mostly, so I have different definitions of like for creating the plaque.
Awesome.
And then I want to create a gem. And then for like the other things that we can just implement, I have a sword, and then I made a pyramid. And in my main def, so first I welcome the user and like create a little quest for them to do. So I just have them like searching for treasure. So then I prompt them for their name, and then I generate a random number for their lucky number. Then I put it in a while loop, so it'll loop back. So choice, so they can change what they're searching, or they can just keep searching location I mentioned earlier. And then so based on their choice, it gives them another menu if they select this one. And then that just brings up the different definitions. And if they find it, they say, congratulations, you found the gem. And then they give them the plaque. And that's pretty much it.
That's beautiful. Anybody got any questions or comments? Tell her how beautiful it is, because it looks awesome.
The /T and the /N. Not sure exactly what those are for.
So the /T just indents it, and then the /N drops it to a new line. So it's just easier than doing a print and then having a blank line. Just simplifies it a bit.
I really enjoy the way it looks. Is there a way that you could demonstrate how it's functioning by running it?
Yeah, sure. So okay, so here it welcomes you, it says your quest, and you enter your name. Then it'll give you these options. So if I pick 2, it's just going to say you found this pyramid, but no treasure, so you need to continue. So then it makes me pick a new option. So I'm going to change my search location, and then I'll try the mountains. So I'll get there, and there's no treasure there, so I'm going to try a new one. So I'll go for 2, and then it says I found a sword there, but I didn't find the treasure, so I have to keep searching. So then I look at 3, and it says I found the gem, so this is the treasure I was looking for, and then it presents me with this plaque.
Okay.
And then all on, I could hit quit, and that would also exit the program.
Very nice. It
Yeah,
is awesome.
that works out fantastically, and I think that's where my group was looking to go with it. Just we weren't quite there. My dental issues yesterday, and the fact that we didn't realize we had a 4th person in the group. We just kind of restarted
Throwing you
today.
some what do they call it? Curveballs. Throwing you some
Yeah.
curveballs. I think it's looking really, really good. And, you know, their group is obviously people that are feeling pretty confident about things since they're not really depending on each other a lot. So, you know, that's great. We have people with all sorts of different skill levels. Give Mary a virtual hand. You can find it under the More option there in the participant screen. You can clap it. We've got people clapping. Yay. Thank you, Mary. Okay, next then for group 3, we will be looking at Vincent. Can you show us any code or anything, Vincent? Can you tell us how you guys are doing? There he is. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. I wondered if you were talking.
We have this. We made a collaboration document through
Nice.
Microsoft Word.
Uh-huh.
So let's see if I can. Well, I do wish that they would do something that doesn't mess up the indentation.
Uh-huh. Oh, I see, it does.
Someone is typing chat. Really kills all the capitalization and the quotes and stuff.
Well, that's all right. So you have it over on the side, don't you? Is that a different version?
This was the name length PY that we
Oh,
did.
I see. Uh-huh. Okay. So you guys are working on that. Well, I think that the most important thing is that it would be really nice if we could find a way that you guys could code together as a group, like you say, without word messing everything up. So I'll work on that. I do think that there's an online or a cloud-based facility that we can use. So maybe next week we need to switch.
If we were using Atom
Uh-huh.
for our IDE, which does allow you to compile Python inside it
Right.
with the modules,
Uh-huh.
it does have a collaboration module where you can add people into it and you can all live edit on the same document.
Oh,
I just didn't
awesome.
want to introduce that to anybody because that's a little, you got to be comfortable with what you're doing to get that set up in the first place.
Right. So I'll take a look at that. And Adam is really nice. It's a great facility to use. So next week is actually my normal time in the schedule to move off of idle to try to find like a better editor. And you guys have brought up some reasons that we need to do that. So that's great. I kind of, even though I feel bad that he's over here redoing all of the spacing. Okay, so tell us what you got there, sir.
Well, let's see if this will run. Whatever.
Still got some problems there. I think that that's a really good way to do it. And I understand the issues that you're having because Word just mangles all of our code so bad. So I don't want you to have to run it, but kind of scroll through it a little bit and show us what your plan was as your group.
This with the real one.
He knows what to fix.
And replace. And replace these with the real ones. So now hopefully this will actually run.
That's really good at working through some syntax errors, huh? And in your input function there, just use single quotes or around it if you want to have it quoted like that, and it shouldn't confuse.
The Untitled is not mentioning it.
It's the lines below it.
He's very speedy at getting this fixed, that's for sure. That looks like a comment.
He comments some of these things out so that the computer can ignore some of
Yeah,
the things that my classmates were trying to tell me.
good.
Quest
Yeah, 'cause-
definition needs to be changed to lowercase d.
And then indenture for,
The for right in front of the loop comment probably should be commented out or removed entirely because it's a completely empty for loop.
oh, yep, causing trouble.
Uh, I'm not sure why it's not wanting to run.
Your for loop is formatted like a C# or a Java for loop instead of a Python. Get rid of the semicolons and make those commas. Does it, or do we want nothing in there? You killed my brain with that other code. Try that.
Yeah, for loop is supposed to be for each in
Yeah,
the list that you want to pull from.
right.
But I'm not sure what this is.
So that should do it because it should start with x equal to 1 and then, oh yeah, I think you have to do that before your for loop, don't you? There you go, that'll work.
I think somebody wanted to have range instead,
Okay,
but they had everything all wrong.
try that. Because at least that's more Python syntax. I've seen some for loops like that. We have some Java programmers around probably, which is great. Let's see if he beat it into submission. Let's try it. Oh, that makes sense, Isaiah. Isaiah said that for loop was temporary. It was just kind of an idea. So he was thinking as a programmer. What kind of message are you getting? I missed it.
Expected an indent block.
Block.
I think the comments directly below that might be throwing it off.
Yeah, move those to before your def statement like we were doing in our example, because I do think it makes it confused.
Maybe try deleting
that
the
one.
third
Yeah,
quest
comment
thing.
out that if statement. That's what it is. You're right. Good job. And just tab all of those lines. He knows what to do. Now, is that for loop supposed to be indented or separate? I like it. Who's your hero? Yay! Well, it's starting properly, right?
This is 33.
3. Yeah. Put in
That's
1 or
what it's
2.
gonna be this
Got rid
time.
of 3.
We don't seem to have a clear idea on what the numbers.
Oh,
one
okay.
and
Uh-huh.
two.
What's going
So
on
I'm
there,
going
huh?
to group on that.
Well, I love it. I think that that's really an important point, that some of those design decisions, you know, can really change the way you approach your code. So looks good. I have loved watching you get that to work that well. Let's go on to our next group so we don't run out of time. Thank you, sir. Will you guys all give them a hand? Looks like a lot of really, really good work going on in a good way to collaborate. And we'll try to find more effective ways to collaborate with our Python code, because that's going to be important. So good job. Give them a hand. I've got to find my participant thing to be able to give them a hand. Yay. Okay, so now
I'll need to stop sharing.
let's go to our next group. Group 4. So that'll put Jesus in the hot seat of showing us what's going on with that group. Is he there? Are you there, Jesus? Sometimes I think you guys have walked off to the kitchen and stuff.
I'm here.
I am here, but we were sharing through.
Oh, you're sharing. Okay, well, you guys do it however it's going to work then.
All right. Let's see. Hold on a moment.
Sure.
Okay. So we're sharing through my screen via Discord, and we're
Okay.
working on it. Over here on the left is the class. We completely restarted essentially today, so we're not very far into it. We're building it modularly, whereas previously we were, for whatever reason, going to do it as one single module, and that was very quickly becoming a beast that we just didn't want to wrangle.
Wasn't it? Because we can do that with our little samples.
Well, we're looking into it, and we could make it work, but it would get so unwieldy that if we had something that broke, it was like, oh, look at line number 113.
Exactly. The maintainability just goes right down the drain.
Yeah. So
good.
we all have been, you know, doing essentially debug statements just to make sure things are printing properly. We're printing our arrays out so that we make sure that it's, you know, reading everything correctly, and we're going through. It's something that I'll be working on with them. I'm keeping the screen share open as long as they want it open, and we've been using Discord to, as they're working independently, they're dropping those files into the Discord chat, and we're updating and going from there. I've got
Great.
the ability to be available for the entire group all day long. So if
That's
they
awesome.
want something, they can just message me on Discord. If the screen share's open, they've got it. If it's not, they just send me a message and we can pick up from there. So we're going to continue to be working on it.
Now, I like your list, but do be careful because we haven't used those yet other than just that, you know, as our example for our loop. So be careful with those, but they look awesome. So it's great. Well, so you guys then want to show us what you come up with on Tuesday? We'll do that with a group 2 also, or group 3 also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try to remember here. Group 2, thank you. Give them a hand. Let's clap, clap, clap.
I'll stop that share.
I'm gonna clap for them. I feel like I should be able to just click, 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 clap, clap, clap. All right, next, before we run out of time here, study group 5, our person would be Daniel. Is Daniel with us? I'm not thinking so. So let's see, our study group 5. Oh my goodness, you guys are really small today, aren't you? Looks like Travis is out.
Can you hear me?
So we got these 2 people fighting through this. They're probably done. Yeah, let's see what you got.
Wait, so can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm going to try and make this quick because I have to get to another meeting, so I'll try and make this quick.
Great.
Give me a moment. Here it is. All right, so I've just, just today I had to make it modular. Up until today it wasn't. So I've been having to.
Oh, that looks really nice. Like Zach said, I like the look of your code. It's very nice.
So yeah, so it just pretty much sets some things up, then it defines all the functions, calls one, and then that function can pretty much call some of the others until you eventually reach the end, and it'll go back to the selection in case of like invalid inputs or things like that.
Oh, very nice. Can you show that code a little bit more? That is something that I.
What do you mean?
Down at the bottom where you're catching those errors. Okay, sorry, thanks. I just wanted to see what was going on there. Looks great.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
We don't want to delay you. Everybody give him a hand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
I
then
guess I'll be
lastly,
heading off now.
Lastly, on study group 6, bye, we have Christian. Is Christian here? I'm thinking not. How about, well, Steve, how are you today?
Doing well.
Good.
Unfortunately, because of today's lesson, I've had to go back to the drawing board and start from scratch on some of my ideas. So, and some of the group ideas. So we're working through that.
Okay, that's great. And I know your group has just been having beset by issues. So we have that happening with some of our groups. It just seems like when we're staying at home all the time, everything should be real easy peasy, but it's not.
Yeah, no, it's definitely doing these group activities is made me a fine appreciate. I'm more appreciative of being in person working on this
Doesn't
stuff.
it? Like, oh my goodness. Because this one especially, we really depend on each other. I know we are running out of time, but just real quickly, if we were in class, what we would have done, just so you guys know, is we would have assigned 4 or 5 people to be kind of our experts in the class. And they would have, gone around and helped everybody and assisted everybody through both of these class days. And each person would have worked on it on their own. Our helpers would have just gone around and kind of kept people going, made sure, if they got stuck on something, they were pushed. So it wasn't really intended to be a group assignment. We had to kind of alter it because of our situation. So I appreciate so much you guys working so hard to work together on it, because it is definitely one that can be easier if you're on your own, because you're not trying to explain to other people what you're thinking. So that can do some things. Let's see, Isaiah has a question. No, Isaiah, we are not required to use functions. I think that some people just decided that they should move their code around to adapt to the functions. That maybe was more understandable to them when it was separated out that way, because as we put more and more into the same module or same function, it just gets so confusing. So I think that's why we see that. I'm interrupting you, Steve. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, to function or to not to function. That is the question.
Exactly, that is the question. Well, we are pretty much out of time, so I am just going to cut him off. I know he's got a lot of work going on, and I've assigned him some people who were definitely wanting some help and a helpful group. So hopefully everybody can work together a little bit, help each other through this, because yeah, none of us are in the state that we would like to be in. We would all rather be in the classroom, being able to help each other live. Don't forget to fill out that spreadsheet. They are asking us to administratively withdraw people that aren't attending. So I am kind of depending on that. I will also be looking at Canvas, different things like that. But that spreadsheet will be my main source of knowing if somebody needs to be withdrawn. I do have a person or two that I will be withdrawing, so I'll get them out of your groups, and then you'll know for sure that we haven't seen that person since before spring break. So unfortunately, we do have a couple of people. Other than that, great job. That assignment is due tonight. If you are still working on it, just turn it in when you get it done, because I want to see it. And each person should turn in their own version. So take what you worked with your group and then turn that into yours. Yours can be exactly the same as everybody else's. Any other questions before we go?
Don't believe so.
All right, I'm gonna shut this off. You guys have an awesome weekend, and I'll see you next week on Tuesday.